One of the things that we have come to rely on incredibly in the College of Graduate and Professional Studies to support our students is our Salesforce Customer Relationship Management Tool, or CRM. We've talked about Salesforce, or the CRM, that's been mentioned quite a bit throughout the last couple of days. And so I'm very excited to welcome Carol Lee and Christopher Littlefield to the stage for the next presentation. These folks are our technical team, our administrators / developer crew for Salesforce, and they are going to be talking about something that's very exciting that many folks may not quite know is available, and that is the e-learning platform that Salesforce has to offer, which is called Trailhead, which is a pretty amazing resource and a pretty amazing tool. So with that, I'm going to welcome Carol and Christopher up to the stage.
All right, I'm Christopher Littlefield.
I'm Carol Lee.
And this afternoon, we're going to introduce you to an online learning platform developed by Salesforce. Now, a couple of months ago, when Salesforce announced a strategic partnership with Apple, it highlighted as a focus among three major focuses, learning and career growth, and avowing it as a path to the democratization of technology. Now, their primary targets for the learning are meant to be Salesforce users, admins, and developers, but as you'll see, their audience is actually broader. Now, their aim is to make technology accessible to everyone, and the question is, how can that be achieved? And that basically is make opportunities available to learn how to use and to marshal the technology, and Salesforce has set up the platform to do just that. Now, earlier this year, LinkedIn released a report called the Top 2010 Workplace Learning Trends. And we've chosen the top 5 just to highlight: soften the impact of automation, to balance today's challenges with tomorrow's opportunities, the rise of digital as transforming talent development, if employees can't find the time to learn, to reduce the friction to do so, and then to amplify manager relationships. Now, what interests us here is number 3, and that's the rise of digital as transforming talent development, which is, in other words, training, digital training, and the acquisition of knowledge in a digital form. So, I mean, essentially that amounts to talent developers depending more on online learning solutions to meet the needs of a growing, multinational, diverse, and geographically diverse workforce. And according to the report, there's no turning back. So online digital learning is the path forward, or a path forward. And in the report, as approaches to learning experiences, according to LinkedIn, we see that 68% of employees prefer to learn at work, 58% of employees prefer to learn at their own pace, and 49% of employees prefer to learn when they need it and where they need it, so at the point of need. So this takes us basically into the development of Trailhead. Trailhead evolved about 4 years ago from a trove of online training resources, documentation, developer documentation, basically, to a guided and curated learning experience featuring functionally specific modules and badging. Badging, of course, promotes a sense of credentialing and a cultivation of adoption and a cultivation of further learning within the platform. Now, Trailhead offers a variety of different kinds of functionality, that is to say, a variety of different modules for learning basic Salesforce functionality, like Salesforce Platform Basics, Service Cloud Essential Basics, Marketing Cloud Basics. You can see from the subtitles the kind of information that's available there. But recently they've begun to offer more soft skills modules. And so they're pairing up kind of functionality with soft skills. So you have instances of, say, communication skills for customer service agents, customer service in the 4th Industrial Revolution, customer retention for managers, but also softer skills of public speaking skills, writing styles, storytelling and communication, which basically enhance or buffet this, the other kind of functionality learning. Even more recently, they've started to add modules that involve business culture and the larger world in which the organizations operate. So things like cultivating equality at work, inclusiveness leadership practices, business value of equality. They're basically broadening what they're offering, broadening what sort of things can be learned on the platform.
So we're going to go into a demonstration, but before we do, we wanted to provide a breakdown of the components in Trailhead. So Trailhead consists of different modules, trails, projects, or trail mix. Modules are learning tools that are organized and broken up into many units depending on the topic. You can complete a unit by essentially completing the quiz or the challenge at the end of each unit. So a quiz checks your knowledge on within the unit with multiple choice questions. A challenge tests your skills with hand-on challenges that are completed within the Trailhead Playground. Trails are groups of modules that will provide a guided learning path suited to specific roles or need. And then projects allows you to learn interactively by requiring you to implement a feature or a solution within an org. Trail mix are custom learning paths that are created from a selection of trails, modules, or projects. You can either discover many existing trail mix that are available, or you can also create your own depending on your need. So now that we kind of know the components that are available, let's go into the demonstration itself. Oops.
There we are. All right, so what we're going to do here next is to actually go through one component of a Trailhead module here with you all. And as it happens, this particular Trailhead module is on the basics of Trailhead. Sorry. So let's talk a little bit about what's in the interface for Trailhead. We've got a list of the units that are covered within the Trailhead here on the left in blue. You've got along the left basically topics that are within a particular, or you'll see topics that are within a particular unit. We are going to, are we logged in here yet?
Not yet.
No, we're going to log in first.
So
Sorry, let me turn this off.
No.
So of course, first we're going to log into the platform.
Is it all digital?
Oh, did you?
Is it on there?
No, we didn't say that.
Okay.
There's no login.
It's up there.
Oh. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, jeez. I actually remembered my other password. So, as you can see from the entry of this particular module, we've actually already started it. So you'll see a progress bar showing you how complete the particular module is. So it's a 66% complete. We've actually done two of the three units, and you can see by the check marks within the green that those are the modules that we already did. So we're going to actually demo getting started with Trailhead. We're actually going to read through a little bit of the content or point at some of it out, and then take a test and get a badge. So, are we in? Yeah. So you'll see at the top of the module some learning objectives, and over on the right, a bar of topics where other learning content is located. And we've already described to you a little bit of the components of how Trailhead works, but we will, how it's structured. I guess we'll go into who Trailhead is for. So I'll just read a little bit. The short answer is, well, everyone. We've content for every role within an org and every level of experience. We even have material for learning outside of Salesforce, such as modules on artificial intelligence basics and European Union privacy law basics. That's relatively new and important. And a trail to help you understand your web users with Google Analytics. I'll just move on down a little bit just to give you a sense of some of the content that is included, the multimedia content that's included as a part of the packaging. So videos, samples of code, walkthroughs of tasks, screenshots, images, tables and charts, step-by-step instructions. So basically a good mix of material. And of course, when they say we create content, we use a set of guiding principles that include practical examples and scenarios, storytelling, casual voice and tone, the writing, positivity, and fun. So, starting, well, we've already kind of gone through where you sort of start, but what are we talking about here? When you sign up for Trailhead, you have a couple of different ways of signing in. If you're a Salesforce user, you can use your Salesforce login. You can also get your own developer org that has nothing to do with our org to learn the larger Salesforce basics. And you can use your own Gmail or LinkedIn credentials to be able to log into that. What that does is that connects any badging that you earn, any levels of badging, to your own personal account so that, if you get your, a certain level of learning here at one job, and you can move on and take that information to another, so you don't lose the progress that you had, the credentialing that you had. So, and there is a way if you have to merge your credentials from your work and your personal credentials so that they sort of follow you wherever you go. We'll go to the Trailhead Playground. So, one of the other components of basically being able to deeply get into the learning component, you're basically are Trailhead Playgrounds that are associated with the various different learnings that you'll do. So you'll create a playground, which is basically a Salesforce org that allows you to do the tests and do the challenges that are associated with the particular module that you're working on. So you would set that up, and that's that image that you're seeing on the screen now. It says you can customize your playground however you want, but you want to kind of not do that so much. You want to follow along the various different modules. There are 2 or 3 playgrounds that you're likely to have, and they build on one another, so it's always good not to do anything too crazy with them because there are more involved projects that are also that you'll want to build out in the playground and use. So you don't want to get too crazy. So what's next? We've got a test, and we're going to hopefully we've provided the content to be able to answer the right answers for the test. So we've got a sense of what the quiz looks like here. So I will ask you for the answers. Mm-hmm. Anybody want to answer about who Trailhead is for? D, everyone. Vanna, do you want to check D? No. All right. So number 2, what's one reason to sign up for Trailhead with a social media account? Anybody remember? All of your friends will know you're using Trailhead. You'll still be able to log in no matter where your career takes you. You'll never forget your password. You won't accidentally make changes in your production org when you complete hands-on challenges. This is a tough one.
B?
Do I hear B?
I hear B.
Do I hear another B? Can I get a witness? All right. It's B. We think. All right, number 3. What is a Trailhead Playground? Is it a forum made up of other Trailhead users and Socrates? A jungle gym where Astro and friends hang out. This is Astro behind us with Cody. Cody's the bear. Or C, an org that you can use to test your Salesforce skills and complete hands-on challenges. Or D, a series of modules and projects.
C.
C, I'm seeing C in sign language. It's C.
Right.
All right. So now,
Moment of truth.
YMCA too. Anyway, we got them all correct, and we have won a new badge for OWL Digital. So, simple. In this particular case, they're not always this simple, especially when you start getting into more complex Salesforce operations. But I hope you get the idea that it's basically a content-rich, quizzy, credentialing component of Salesforce.
So the best thing about this is that as you earn badges, you can also see all of the badges that you earn, and if you hover over it, you can also see what you scored on the badge when you scored it. So if you had a trail that you set up and you wanted to see how long has it been, how did I do in it, you can always go back to check your badges. And the more badges you earn ranks, and that's always an additional level of motivation to get to the next rank. So these are all the ranks that are available. So the more badges you earn, the more points you earn, the more ranks you'll be able to get to. So that's always like an additional motivation. That's always really fun. I love going to the next rank. So that's always nice to have that there and be able to show that I've done this. This is how I did in those different units.
Yeah, and Salesforce makes this available for anybody who's interested in learning. So, I mean, I know I've encouraged a whole bunch of web developers and other people in the sort of the IT scheme to go ahead and basically sign up for Trailhead. You can also sign up for a developer org so that the more involved you are, you can actually kind of learn Salesforce at your own pace, however you want to. But that's a part of the idea of this democratization of technology and this democratization of education, basically making this stuff available for you to learn at your own pace as you want to, and the more broad swath of modules that they offer, the more sorts of things you can learn about. Sam talked about agile development and project management earlier in the day. There are modules on various different project management schemes out there, and agile is one of them. So there'd be a way on Trailhead to actually learn some of the things we talked about earlier today. So this isn't it. Salesforce isn't resting on its laurels as far as this idea of spreading out the availability of learning options online. They are in the process of making available for customization by customers the platform itself. They're calling it My Trailhead, and they're basically going to allow you to stage on the platform your own custom content, create your own badges for the badging and credentialing, create your own paths, etc. You basically, the more immediate use for something like this that I see would be for all of the HR sorts of things that we do, the HR modules and things, you could stage these in this sort of platform, and your staffs could take these, and from within the platform, you can basically tell who took what when. So that's coming in the future, and who knows what's next. Salesforce is always eyeing other possibilities. They might be working on an LMS for all we know. So,
as Einstein says, everyone is smarter, and we hope to make everyone smarter with questions. Do we have any questions?
Hello.
Hello.
So you guys know I love Trailhead, and I love earning those badges and seeing that little confetti. Can you guys talk a little bit about, Salesforce is one of those business organizations that I think is really trailblazing to build out a certification model that's incredibly meaningful in industry. And we know that there's huge, huge value in the many certifications that Salesforce offers to professionals like us. And I'm wondering if you can just speak to how Trailhead in particular integrates with that, and how Trailhead maybe could be used to prepare people for those particular certifications.
So there are several trailheads or trail mixes that are basically geared toward preparing folk for the various different kinds of certifications. And there are as many certifications as there are sort of subject matters for Salesforce. So you just received one for Pardot, but for this, from the marketing realm to deep into the Salesforce platform, administrator, Salesforce administrator, various different levels of that, developers, various different levels of that, Salesforce architect. For every kind of Salesforce job set, there is a certification, and there are trail mixes and paths for to study for that. Now, obviously, there are other external components to really fix that in. But what Salesforce has done this year, with the most recent release of, actually it was the summer release of the newest iteration of the software, you used to have to take another test to keep your certifications up. They've basically done away with that and put those refreshers onto the platform, and it's for free now. So they're kind of mixing things up, but that's basically, as far as certifications, that's one of the approaches. Carol, you're working on it as well.
Well, I mean, from my own personal experience going through this, I've used the trailheads as a pretty much basis of getting the basic information that will kind of lead to when I go to those more intense documentations that I actually understand the basics. So then I'm not going into those and just questioning, what is this? And having it go completely over my head. So it's what I've been using to go for all the basics, getting that basic knowledge, knowing what I need to do, and just going through the trails and doing all the hands-on. And then when I go to those more intense documentations to advance that knowledge, I actually understand what's going on. So that's kind of what they've been using it for, just really that quick, basic, need to know, instant knowledge, and then you can build on that with all of the more in-depth, intense documentations that they have included with all the trail mix as well. So,
and just to sort of add, to sort of expand the idea of what other sort of information is disseminated on the particular platform. So Salesforce 3 times a year has newer iterations of the software or newer releases. And one of the things that is staged on the platform is the information about the new releases, what's in the new releases. And it's almost a quick digest as a way to get abreast of what's in there. I mean, oftentimes the new releases go to 50 and 60 and 70 pages. And a lot of times, with a lot of the work we've been doing, we don't have time to actually read all this stuff. And so one place for us to go to at least get a top level sense of what's in there, or what's the critical information that's in there, has been to go to Trailhead and there's a winter release badge, winter 19 release, et cetera. So.
And so I'm going to go to the other end of the spectrum and add a second part to that question, which for folks that maybe aren't at the level where they're looking at getting certification, but for maybe beginning users, do you recommend that this tool is kind of the first, one of the first places to go to if maybe, say, somebody says, well, I really want to run a report, but I don't know how to do that. Would you say that this is the place where they can go to get that information, or would it be above their head?
So I have been adding this to our orientation because I actually think it's an amazing place to have people start off with, especially before they dive into the Salesforce system themselves. So the great thing about this is, like I mentioned earlier, being able to create our own trail mix. So I was able to create one that just goes over the basics of what trailheads are, the basics of what Salesforce is and the functionalities involved with Salesforce. And then I also included the higher ed architecture, because that's how we specifically used it. So I was able to kind of give people an overview of what Salesforce is, how we structured it to work for us. And then I also built in that extra component in that trail mix that included basic reporting needs and just functionalities of dashboard. So then they have those basic understanding before they actually enter into Salesforce. So that is included as part of our orientation.
That's great. That was my question. So
Yay!
Instead, I'll ask a different question. And it's going to be this one. There's a way in which there's an energy around Trailhead, right? That with the graphics and the characters and the sort of shared world that they've set up with this, that it's kind of fun, right? I'm wondering about, it's exciting that we're making this part of an orientation for folks coming into the college. Is this something, though, that at least this format, is this something that we could also expand to other areas of onboarding? We're always bringing on new people and getting them up to speed with everything, and all of our processes and all of our different technologies, I think, could really benefit from an approach like this. Could we do it?
At a price. No, that's basically the promise to me that my Trailhead represents. When I saw that they were offering that, my first thought was very, very surface level, the HR stuff, right? But then going deeper, and as that platform expands into the other things that we make available, would be our process, et cetera. And we can, basically at that point, it's the sky's the limit. It does cost extra at the moment. Who knows? Depending on Salesforce's sort of generosity, which they have been with Salesforce.org, which we take advantage of, they may actually expand that out. And I do know, though, they probably are eyeing an LMS, and so they want to kind of keep some part of it commodified. And maybe when they offer an LMS, maybe they'll let this go, let the sort of a surface functionality go for free, and then get their money off of a deeper product. But if they ever do that, or if we ever decided to spend the money on it, there are plenty of things we could do to ensure that our staff are all using the same ideas, the same standards, same processes. So, Ivy, we need to get a mic back there.
So can you give me an idea of how much of a time commitment goes into earning one of these badges?
It varies. So there are badges that I can pretty much complete in less than half an hour. But the more intensive badges, where it's really hands-on, can go from an hour. And then depending on Trail Mix, which is a collection of those, can be almost 24 hours. So it really depends on what your needs are. There are different badges at different levels. Modules tend to be shorter. Projects are usually a little bit longer. And then Trail Mix are just a collection of both of those. So they're more intensive.
But there's, the modules are structured in such a way that you could sit down with a half hour's time or an hour's time and do work on them and work toward them. So it's not like you would be looking at a 2-hour commitment if you sat down. You could sit down on your lunch break, or if you had a few minutes, half hour, 15 minutes, to spare, you could do it right there. This module that we did today was a 15-minute module. We just did 5 minutes of it. Of one component of it, but the other 2 are 5 more minutes. And it tells you, when you're looking into them, what your commitment is for a particular module, what your commitment is to the larger badge or the larger trail. So you know at any point how much you're going to spend on it. But you could also budget out how much time you spend to get it done.
Yeah, because you don't have to complete it all at once. You could, they're pretty much broken down into units, so you can kind of time it by unit. I'll do 1 unit in this module today. I'll do another unit tomorrow. So it's not like one of those where you must sit down and complete it all within that half an hour. You can definitely piece it out.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Astro says thank you, too, and goodbye.